so it didn't matter. So anyway, let's start the FORTRAN Sex Scandal. Oh my. Hello, and let's get started here. So, it's a regular school day, and it's the winter term. And Bud is coming home from his first day in the FORTRAN class. FORTRAN programming, computer programming. And he has had just an introduction and a tour around the computer lab. Now, the computer lab at that time was the size of in fact, it was put into a gymnasium. And it was full of vacuum tubes. I mean, this computer was huge. And these vacuum tubes, it was stinking hot in there all the time, even though they tried to keep it cool. But these vacuum tubes would overheat, and without a doubt, you would trudge all the way to the computer room with your big box of punch cards, and then you'd get there and there'd be a sign, the computer lab is down. So they'd go back and trudge all the way back with those heavy boxes of cards and try again later. And you never knew from one time to the other when that was going to be up. So if you had a project, you'd better get it there early to have it turned in time, because the profs weren't really that considerate of, too bad the computer was down, you were supposed to have it done. So let's start now. Okay, I'm at home with little Gregory, and all of a sudden the car door slams and in comes Bud. He says, "Oh, Doll, I can't believe how interesting this new FORTRAN class is." I said, "Yes, I know, but I had it last term." He says, "Yes, I know." He said, and I picked up today a bunch of FORTRAN cards, punch cards. So I'm ready to go, and we got our first big project. I said, "Oh, good." I said, "Who do you have?" He says, "Oh, I have Dr. Ted. Dr. Ted seems like a really cool guy." I said, "Yes, that's the guy I had." It seems strange that he lets you call him Dr. Ted. That's not his last name, that's his first name. Well, he's a young guy, Bud said, and he feels comfortable with the class, and he's sort of hip. So, okay, so we both had Dr. Ted. I had him in the fall semester, and now it's the winter semester, and Bud has Dr. Ted again for programming. All right, so week one, Bud does his first project, and it's always due on a Friday. And he brings it home and puts the printout on the kitchen table. Everything went on the kitchen table in our tiny place. And I pick it up, and I'm reading his printout. Now, a printout looks something like this. I'll show you what it looks like here. Looks something like this, okay? And it has all the stuff in it, okay? And I'm looking down, and I said, "Bud, honey," I said, "you forgot something pretty important in there." He says, "What?" I said, "Well, you have to put in," and Dr. Ted's going to grade you on this, "you have to put in statement cards." He says, "Oh, yes, that's right. He told us about those." He says, "What exactly do they do?" I said, I learned this the hard way because I did it wrong too by the first time. But statement cards go in, and they're for the other programmers. And they might be something as simple as saying step 1, step 2, step 3, and you put them periodically in your computer program printout for other programs to follow along in your logic and how you go forward. He says, "Don't they interfere with the program at all?" I said, No. They're just printed out on the sheet, and then when the computer programmer reads them, he can see what you did. And they explain it. It won't interfere with the calculation. It's just a statement card that goes in the box. Okay, so I saw a light go on in his head. Okay, he's got that devilish look in his smile. So his first program went in, and he made it in time. The computer lab was on time. And he comes home, and he gives me the printout of the one he handed in. And I'm looking down and I'm thinking, wow, this is really good, Bud. You did a good job. And I go down there, and right in the middle, wasn't the one he handed in, but right in the middle was a message to me. And it says, I sure do love my doll. Wow, that went up on the refrigerator. Project number 1 went up on the refrigerator. Project number 2. Now he says, doll, do you mind if you proofread this for me? I'll bring a printout home and you can proofread it for me. So I got to proofread a little bit ahead of time because we checked each other's work, typos and things like that. So I'm reading it down, and there's another one. And it says, I love you to the moon and back again. And that wasn't the one he handed in. Before each time, he carefully took out that one card and ran the program to hand in to Dr. Ted. So Dr. Ted never saw our secret love notes. So number 3 went up on the refrigerator with the yellow highlight. Bud always had highlighters right by the refrigerator and plenty of magnets so we could hang our stuff up, including his list. List stayed on that refrigerator the whole time. So week 3 comes, another message. And then 4 and 5 and 6, and now we're getting to the end of the semester. And now it's the big final project, and he's so nervous about this one. I said, well, Bud, be very careful. Dr. Ted doesn't give everybody the same project, so you can't really have one person in the class do it. And his projects are probably different from what I had because he's very clever, he's very smart. And I said, don't forget your statement cards. Those are going to be very, oh, doll, I know what a statement card is. I've been sending them to you. I said, yes, I know, and I pointed to the refrigerator. By that time, we had, I had 9 printouts with different messages. I sure do love my doll. I love you from the moon to the moon and back again. I love you for this, I love you for that. And I wasn't throwing those out ever, ever, ever. Well, now he's on the last program. And he says, doll, this one's a tough one, a really tough one. I said, yes, I know. So I get, he gets it working, and it's the middle of winter. So he has programming in the morning, first thing on a Friday, and then he goes after that to his Navy training session at the building on campus for the ROTC building, the NESEPs. He was in the NESEP program, he wasn't in ROTC. So he goes there for training. So, first thing, smack in the morning, he has class. Well, he's getting desperate because it's getting close, and this is a long one, a really long program. So, Monday, he trudges in across the East Halls parking lot with his box of cards. What's there to greet him? The sign that says, computer system down, please come back later. Takes the box of cards, puts them back in the car, and goes to class. Day 2, Tuesday. Again, he runs over, computer lab down. Comes back again, puts it in the box, goes to class. And this continued all week. Thursday, he takes it. He's gone in to get it. And it's in the morning, and he goes over, and it's down. Now he's really getting desperate because this program is due the next day. And I said, Bud, do you have all your statement cards? And yes, doll, I have them all in. I have everything done. Everything's fine. And he's getting really, really nervous. So this Thursday, he goes again in the afternoon. It's open. He can run it. He can run it. He can run it. He puts his cards, you had to put your cards in line with a divider between them. He puts his cards in line to be printed. And he's just about to be the next person up to have his program run so he can hand it in the next day. And the computer goes down. Oh, he looked so sad that night at dinner. Oh, Bud, I'm so sorry. He says, don't worry, doll. It opens at 7 in the morning. I'm going to be there. I'm going to get it. I'll go to my 8 o'clock class, and I'll have a printout for Dr. Ted. I have all my statement cards in this time. I remembered. I have them all in there. So the box of computer cards were over there, and I thought I saw him stick in 2 extra cards. He sort of put them inside the box. 1 card, 2 cards inside the box. And I thought, okay, well, he did some modification on his program, because I read it and it was really good. He had it all correct. So all he has to do is run it, but he put these 2 cards in. Okay, so next morning, Bud being Bud, he wakes up early, out for his run, back dressed, boom, he's going, and of course he has to be 20 minutes early. Without a doubt, Bud has to be 20 minutes early all the time. So he's 20 minutes early, he's waiting and waiting, getting nervous about getting this printed out so he can take it to class at 8 o'clock. Well, finally it does open at 7:30 and the computer's working just fine. So quickly, he takes out his box of computer cards and puts it in line, and zoom, it goes right through. And there was such a smile on his face. He's so happy. He has it done, and then like a jogging run. I mean, he can't be less than 20 minutes early for class. So there's a jogging run of Bud going to his computer class. He hands it in. Comes home at lunchtime. I said, boy, Bud, you want some iced tea? And he says, sure. So I get him some iced tea. And we're sitting there at the table chatting. I said, did you get your program in time? He says, yes, Doll. I got it in time. I did. I said, well, everything okay with it? He says, I don't know. I handed it in to Dr. Ted. I didn't get to proofread it. I wish I could have brought it home for you to proofread, but there just wasn't time. I put those cards in and zip, it went right to the computer. I think the secret is to be there at 7:30 in the morning. I just sort of rolled my eyes. Right, Bud, you were there at 7 o'clock, I'm sure, because I saw you go out the door at 10 to 7, but I'm not going to say that. My husband had his 20-minute rule, no matter what. Had to be 20 minutes early. Or more sometimes. But anyway, so he got it in. Okay, so we're sitting there having our iced tea, and he's having his, and I make him lunch. And the phone rings. And I can only hear one side of the conversation, and Bud looks a little nervous. And he says, okay, Dr. Ted, I'll come right in and discuss my program with you. Is there something wrong? Oh, you want to discuss it in person? Okay, I'll be right there. I'm coming right now. I want to find out what's wrong. I hope I did okay. And he didn't get an answer. I didn't get an answer. And he says, Doll, I have to go. Grabs the car keys and he's out the door. And now I'm worried, because if Bud was in the NESEP program, and if Bud had to finish in 3.5 years, no choice. He went year round. And he could not fail a course. There were no repeats, nothing. You failed, you went back to being an enlisted man. So I'm nervous. I'm sitting there waiting. Where's Bud? He comes in the door, and he hands me his printout. And I said, okay, what about it? He says, well, read down about halfway. Oh, my God. I said, oh, you didn't hand that in, and how could you say that? Oh. He says, well, Doll, I usually put 1 card in with a message for you when I do my practice printout. But there wasn't time for a practice printout. And this time I put 2 cards in. The first one said, I sure do love my doll. I was running out of new things to tell you how much I love you. And the second one was that one on the printout. You want to try it tonight, Doll? I think you might like it. It's going to be pretty sexy and pretty hot in the bedroom. I said, but what did Dr. Ted say about this? Well, Dr. Ted at first asked me what this was all about, because it was pretty explicit, pretty X-rated. And I said, my wife likes to read my printouts, and I usually get to print out one for her ahead of time. And I forgot to take the cards out before I printed it to come to you. Dr. Ted puts his hand on his elbow, or his head on his hands, and sort of looks at Bud, and then he starts laughing and laughing and laughing. Then he turns to Bud, he says, okay, that's okay, we'll just cross it out. But Bud, would you mind if I borrowed that card, I'd like to put it in the next program that my wife reads. Let me know how it turned out at your house. I'm sure it'll work. All right, so that's the story of how FORTRAN Sex Scandal all started. And it worried me because I thought, yeah, Bud fails, we're in trouble. We're going back to sea. And I had a college degree to get, and he had one too. And Bud didn't care much about what degree he got. He wanted that officer's commission. He was going to be an officer. 6 years in the Navy now. And as an enlisted man still. But when he graduated, he was going to be an officer. And that was everything to my husband. Everything, everything. So I thank you for showing up for the FORTRAN Sex Scandal. I hope it was something that was a bit of a surprise to you and that you had a good chuckle. I think right now we all need humor. We need to laugh. We need to smile. We need to hug each other. And with that in mind, I'm again going to remind you about my information up and down. Help me with my numbers, please, please, please. And thank you for helping me get my numbers up on the YouTube channel. Thank you for that. And I'm going to leave with my same ending that I always do. My ending where I send you a kiss and a virtual hug. And I want to invite you back again to next Sunday. Oh boy, wait till you hear this one. This one's going to be another doozy because Bud and I had the happiest marriage. The happiest marriage. So until next time, guys, be kind to each other, be sweet, and cheer for your favorite team. Bye, everybody. See you again.